on feminism.
Okay, so you start with
I've been watching like a lot of YouTubers who specialize in comedy on touchy subjects, and a couple of like feminism.
Okay.
There's some other ones.
Okay.
But I want to know your views. Like, they've stated a couple of facts and statistics regarding views particular feminists have on certain things. So I want to hear your opinions or your views or whatever. So, what are your thoughts on the gender wage gap? A, is it a thing? B, if it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. I don't know that it is across the board always, an issue. But generally speaking, when they compare salaries of women against men, I believe it's a 20-something%.
Is that
disparity?
Is that because they're taking the average without regard to where they're employed? Because statistics show that women are less likely to work overtime, ask for raises, and take risks than men are. Also, the fact that...
Hold on that point, do you think that women are able to take as much risk as men when it comes to asking for a raise, to put their job on the line when it comes to asking for more? Do you feel that women would have a fair chance as much as a man would to get promoted, to have the raise?
Depends on it depends on the boss, on the type of company, on the person who they're asking's views.
Okay. So, how many women CEOs do you know?
Not many. I do know a lot of guy CEOs, and I do understand that most women are not likely to get promoted to CEO from like an office job.
So,
but then again,
wait. So if you realize that the majority of CEOs are men, is there a disparity when it comes to gender and promotions?
There can be.
Okay.
There's also statistics show that even though women make up 48% of the workforce, I forget which study it was, but they make up 47% of the workforce, but only 7% of workplace fatalities. So that means that men are working in the more dangerous jobs, and women, some feminists say that, oh, we're strong women. Well, if you're strong women, why aren't you taking like the dangerous jobs?
A lot of people will not hire women in jobs that will endanger them because they have this mindset from the 50s or earlier that women should be at home doing homely things. And so if you get a man who is in his 60s or older, typically they are going to view women as secretaries, and they won't really acknowledge that they're capable of doing some things that men do.
Do you think women are likely to be accepted into the STEM field?
No.
Actually, women are preferred to men with higher or equal qualifications, but there's not enough of them going into the STEM fields for it to make a difference.
Well, there's another thing, is that the STEM field is geared more towards male students. There could be many reasons that there's not women in STEM. One being that there's less women who are interested in STEM, less women who've been exposed to STEM, less curriculum that is geared towards women.
Is that, when you say not exposed to STEM, do you think it's by their choice or by someone else's choice?
I think it's multifaceted, and there's not just one reason. I think it's part they're not exposed, and it's part they may not be interested.
Yes.
What is this
Also,
conversation about?
feminism.
Feminism and statistics and why there's.
Do you think feminists, while they're talking about how they need to get more women into the STEM field, are like might be majoring in gender studies instead of STEM fields, or
I don't know,
etc.?
but I do know that there are several initiatives that have been more recent, like in the last 5 years, to help get girls and women interested in STEM and, more male predominant career fields like architecture or engineering and stuff like that. Where there are, from what I understand, now I haven't studied statistics, but I think the engineering field has more females in it than it did in the last 30 years, and so the engineering field has started gaining more women in the field. And I think it's only a matter of time before the STEM field does, because there's specific programs that people are using to target or gear the curriculum towards women. Because no matter what you think, women and men typically, on a average, they do learn differently, because males are more logical and they're very finite in their thinking, and women can tend to have multiple ways to look at things and sometimes can see the big picture and not just what's before them, from what I understand of the differences in learning. Okay?
What do you think about like conferences, people like guys, men getting together to discuss male issues?
I think I promote that. I think anybody who has struggle or, I don't know, problem that they want to try and fix or expose more people to the problem or educate people on it, I think anybody should be able to gather and have a discussion, no matter what their identity is. I don't think anybody should exclude anyone from being able to meet with people of like mind to discuss topics that are relevant to that group. Because gender equality, to me, is you allow the other gender access and freedom that the other gender has.
Do you think men have rights that women don't?
Yes.
Like what?
When it comes to reproduction.
Did you know that women are more likely, by default, to get the child than the man?
Okay, hold on. I'm not talking about custody. I'm talking about reproduction, where if a woman is married to a man and she wants to have surgery to prevent herself from having more children, she has to sometimes, depending on the insurance, has to get approval from her husband to have a surgery on her own body. Now, the flip side, some surgeries will require that of a man. You also, as a woman, have to meet criteria to be able to have that surgery. If you only have one child and you're 25, they're likely not going to approve it. Because they think that at 25, you can't make a decision to not have any more children.
It's relatively recent in history that women even got the right to vote. If you really look at the big picture, there's like a lot of progress still.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yes, there is a lot of progress to be made, and yes.
There has been progress. I never deny the progress that we have had as women, because I was in the military, I was in a male-predominant career field, and I was treated the same as every other man. And that was in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think the problem is radical feminists aren't looking for gender equality. They're looking for males to have less than women. Because, in truth, women have more social backfalls than men.
I found, generally speaking, the whole red pill thing,
The what?
it's what he's gearing up towards.
Yeah.
It's the whole, there's a movement, and it's closely tied to alt-right and neo-Nazism.
Okay.
Most are members of this group.
Ah.
It's kind of like a male victim complex thing. There's a whole sphere. But a lot of times it's a response to more very critical, like third wave feminists and stuff, but it's a lot of strawmans. It's a lot of strawmen, and just people, excuse me, talking about the plight of manhood because of women wearing pants now, and it's just like,
Right. You have the extremes on
yeah.
in
But it's
any
like,
ideology.
have you
you
talked
have
to a
extremes.
radical feminist before?
I personally have not, and
Yeah. You
I am
just
not
hear
sure I
people
would
talk.
enjoy it or not.
Yeah. But
I
it's
have
just-
my views and opinions
Yeah.
based on things that people among the internet have said.
And my thing is, a lot of, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't
Go
mean
ahead,
to,
go
like,
ahead.
I don't mean to shoot you down. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of content creators out there that will put up, like, I'm gonna destroy this argument by this crazy liberal, insane, rad feminist, and it's like you're cherry picking one person with some extreme views, shooting it down to make you feel better, and then slipping some really insidious things in there, and it's just to bolster a lot of a really hateful movement. So I just be careful. Just
Okay.
be critical of what you're seeing, because
Right.
they talk
Okay,
about
wait, wait,
statistics
wait.
show.
Okay.
Oh, blah blah
But
blah.
you also have to research the statistics.
Yeah, you
Where
need to
they-
look at it on
You
your own.
hold on. You need to find where they found their source. You need
Leave
to
it.
verify that this source is a valid source and that the data is relevant data.
So
Because you can pull statistics out of the thin blue sky
Mhm.
that would support your argument, but that doesn't mean that the study was done correctly, representative. I mean, they could have surveyed 100 people. That's not a good statistic to fall back on.
Yeah.
the
you know?
person I'm relying on for
Right.
statistics, he really does his. He takes things. He goes through the CDC. I know he goes through WHO, and he uses a lot of. He'll go to.
But have you
Pro-fem-
verified? Have you
pro-fem-
verified his statistics?
Yes. It's
That's what I'm
usually-
saying. If he
No,
says
no.
28% of blah 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 blah, because it says it on here.
Yeah. Why do you trust that he won't research it if you don't look it up yourself?
Right. You have to go and take his information, and you have to go, okay, I'm going to go on whatever site he said he got it from, and I'm going to look at that study, and I'm going to see how many people were surveyed in the study. I'm going to see the male-female ratio or whatever it was, to be able to see what the representation of, because some of his information may be anecdotal, not scientifically proven.
And I've seen some responses to videos like that will be like, okay, well, they shared a study, interesting, let me look at it. Okay, he highlighted one sentence, let me read the rest of it. Oh, this is not representative of the nation in general, because it surveyed,
Leave it.
like you said,
Right.
like 100 people
Right.
at one college campus. So
Right.
it's like, what does this really mean? Nothing.
Right.
He just has an argument, he wants to back it up with something, so he pulls something up. And maybe he has a convincing personality, he seems like somebody you want to trust, but doesn't necessarily mean that,
Right,
speaking
anybody
the truth.
who's giving you
Alright.
facts, you need to verify the facts that they're giving you
Okay.
before you adopt them as truth.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I introduce you to this person, and they live in Australia.
I'm not only going off of Isaac Butterfield, you idiot.
Hey,
It seems
name
like
calling
it
doesn't
for
mean-
some reason.
Name calling isn't productive to a
So
conversation.
most of these stats that have been pulled
I'm
up
not.
mostly contribute to the Australian population, and a lot of his videos have to do
I'm not
with
taking any of my
commentary
stats from him.
on like Australian news stuff and like social media stuff.
That
And
is true.
A lot of his points, he's a comedian, and he does like
He presents topics for shock value and to make fun of specific things.
Yeah, but
Leave it.
he's joking about
Lay
stuff
down.
while also interlacing some points to contradict what they're saying, and just that.
So it's not to be, that particular person is not to be taken as
Seriously, no.
serious. Okay.
I'm
Right,
not.
so-
I'm not taking any of my statistics or anything except for the part I was about to say from Isaac Butterfield, who is the comedian he is talking about.
Okay.
The story I was about to mention in particular was a woman posted on Facebook her daily routine, which was she takes care of 4 kids and her husband. She'll wake up early in the morning, like 4:30ish, to make breakfast, making coffee. and like Isaac was like hang out with him because they run a gym together, and he works at a construction job, I think. So all day he's working 10, 12 hours, he said, of construction, and then he goes and trains groups at the gym, and he comes home and he crashes. So the mom will wake up at 4:30 in the morning to make coffee and breakfast for her husband. Then she'll wake up her kids, get them ready for school, and in between the time that she does that, she'll do like meditation and exercising and stuff. And then at night, she will lay out clothes for everybody, make sure everything, like
So
the
she's the
dishwasher's
caretaker.
Yeah, she was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And this is by choice. So the Australian media took a couple of sentences out of context
To make it look
to make it look like she was like,
being forced by her
Yeah.
husband to do these things.
That's a shame.
yeah.
I mean, and you have that going on in a lot of places, but then you have stories like mine.
Yeah.
Where I was a stay-at-home mom.
But not by
Right.
choice.
Yes, actually I was for a while. But when your dad got into accident and was unable to work, I was pregnant for Noah, and I said, why don't I go try and find a job, you stay home with Samuel and Jonathan, and at least we'll have some income coming in.
And Jack threw a fit.
Yep. And would not allow me to go get a job.
And I think if I were in a position like that, I would be thankful for having people who are eager to have my back and say, well, look, if she is in a position where she is,
That's not your right to.
subservient in a
His
sense,
reasoning was, no one's gonna hire me pregnant, and I couldn't make enough money to support our family.
Ooh, hands
Only
movies, bro.
that the pregnancy is a legitimate concern, but that's only for hard labor jobs. So
Look, some people won't hire you because you're going to be out for 6 to 12 weeks taking care of an infant,
And that doesn't.
and then not have your job won't be there when you come back. That's
Yeah.
some places.
Some places.
It's pretty sad that that's true. I mean, America we have the resources to take care of people better, in my opinion.
We do, we
I
just
think
don't
should
use them.
really have stronger standards for maternity leave across countries.
Then
Maternity is
you
important
want
too,
a
to be fair,
hamburger.
honestly.
Repopulation, man.
Okay, you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Shouldn't women be treated the same?
Yeah,
Yes.
they should be.
And it's required by law here, isn't it, that women are paid the same as men, etc.,
I don't
etc.
think so. I think
They had a
It's
huge
hard to
movement
enforce
for
that.
it. They had a
Okay,
huge
that's
movement
nice.
for like this one bill. And I literally cannot remember called the name for it. During the civil rights movement of the 60s, and it got shut down.
wage equality or something.
It was like a pretty comprehensive bill, and it literally got shut down. And it was just like across the board, like a whole just inequality. Like it had nothing really
And-
tacked on.
I hear about a lot of feminists sitting and complaining
Right.
about how the U.S. is run by old white guys
Eat
sitting
some
in a
green
building
beans, huh?
doing nothing, and like, oh my God, there's not enough women in the workforce. But you're just sitting there doing nothing about it.
I mean, I'd
It's-
like to see evidence to the contrary.
True, there are a lot,
Right.
but
Have you seen
some
Congress?
statistics from at least one point in time showed that women were more likely to vote than men. So at one point in time, it was women that were putting those old white men in the.
Well, you also have to
In the building.
understand that prior to, I would say 2010, it was very negatively looked upon for a woman to run, and
Still.
Yes, it's still.
very, okay, hold on, because especially in the South, in the Bible Belt, because case in point, nobody would vote for any woman in the church that we used to attend because they didn't feel like women should be in authority.
Like, see, that's not. I agree with that problem. A lot of people believe that women can't have leadership positions. They can. They should. And, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of people don't believe that. Like women don't believe, people don't believe women would make good CEOs or presidents or representatives.
But that mindset is out there, and it's not
Exactly.
just in the Bible.
And it's a problem.
It is. And that's where the inequality comes in, because there's still people out there who refuse to hire women and or promote them simply because they have different anatomy.
I agree that there are a lot of things that feminists are right about, but a lot of people, or a couple of people, some outliers, or a minority of feminists.
Well, I think probably vocal minority, I believe.
A vocal
Like
minority.
the radical
they're very
ones that just
vocal.
talk and talk and
Yeah.
talk
Yes,
about their radical
yes.
views.
They have, they're doing nothing about it. There's the ones who sit at home and complain, but do nothing
So
about
then
it.
you can ignore them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
when people
they're
progressive-
useless.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway,
When
all
people
the,
progressive to find their own solutions together,
Right.
the reasonable
But people are
and-
taking them seriously.
Look, what?
and wait, if somebody takes their viewpoint and goes out and does something about it, then they've influenced someone to go do something about it.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, they're not going to be Brad Fims that want to like make, the
Destroy
male.
them.
Males
Yeah,
have
males
get
be a
paid-
lesser,
women
get, like,
paid more
there's
than
no
males.
reason, hold on, there's no reason for there to be, okay, well, the men are here, so now we've got to put them here.
Yes.
Because now the females have
Exactly,
to be up here and run
exactly.
everything, because the males have been up here for so long.
Exactly.
It should be,
This.
it
Not
should be
one way or the
equal.
other one.
It should be, and I think it's very hard to get past some very old ways of thinking, which saying old is like 50 years ago old, which is not very old.
A couple or a few years ago, there was a ad run by a company, an online company for women's shoes. That they ran a lot of like feminist commercials, and they were talking about how equal wage isn't enough anymore. Women need to be paid more than men, and it listed like they don't take
that's
into
an
account that
outlier,
men don't take into account that women need a new outfit for every occasion. They always need to wear the right shoes.
In other words,
Their underwear are more
the pink
expensive.
tax.
Hold on.
The pink tax.
A man can have one pair of slacks and one jacket and 7 shirts
Every occasion. It's
for
fine.
every occasion.
That's true.
A woman comes into work wearing the same dress within the same week, and she's going to be looked down upon.
People are gonna be talking.
And people
Yes,
are
And
going to be talking.
it's,
That's how
That
it
is
is.
a
It's stigmatized.
That is a disparity against the genders and how people view them, and the judge
Because of stereotypes.
You can't tell that a man's slacks were worn 7 days in a row because they kind of all look the same.
Because we're not as like we're not trying to impress our friends with our outfits as much
Some
as
of
we
y'all
are
are.
with our
Yeah, I was gonna say.
masculinity.
Some of y'all are.
Some of us. Some of
Not
us.
y'all.
Those are outliers.
Women don't necessarily wear the clothes that they wear to impress anybody. It's number one, what's available for them to buy. It's to give their figure a flattering appearance. It's very much harder to dress as a woman than it is a man. It is harder to find
Even
clothes that fit
right.
and make you look good than it is for a man.
That's the thing. It's like in wildlife, it reflects on the human nature. The male animals in nature aren't as like beautiful and attractive. They're kind of like dull.
That's not true.
Wait, no, it's reversed.
You're
That's not
stupid.
true.
It's reversed.
You cannot.
What?
Okay, Enoch,
Shut up.
we are not.
It doesn't make any sense.
We are not animals.
No, I'm
We
not
are.
saying we're
We are literally
I know.
animal scientists.
We're mammals.
Okay.
But
We're
I'm not
kind of
saying
a-
we're animals. Like
You
the
can't
different
go
genders
to-
in nature, they have different looks about them. Some of them. Like take, I think it was blue jays. Is it males or females that have like all the coloring?
Males. Generic.
Like males.
Okay, the males
To impress.
in some males in nature have very clear markings because they are the ones that have to attract the females to be able to procreate. Okay, so they were designed to get attention. Okay.
Natural selection.
No.
No.
The point is still the same. The point is still the same.
Whatever, like,
when
whichever
they
way it
adapt
works,
or
it's
they're
like,
divinely
They
designed,
don't have
that
to
is
buy
the way it
clothes
is.
though, so it doesn't matter.
yes,
Yeah.
but whatever way it works, where they try to pass on the best genes. That's kind of how we are. We want to look like, or make it look like, or be the best genes
Right.
in the gene pool and attract or find the best mates.
Right. The most attractive, but everybody's attraction is different.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
what's interesting
Yeah.
about that is it's on a certain level, we operate based on like family agreement.
Yeah.
Like your attraction
No,
to
I'm
another
gonna eat
and
that
stuff like
this.
beastly ways. Like your attraction to somebody isn't really necessarily defined by how they dress. It might be influenced by societal standards on how they groom, this, that, and the other, but like at its base level, who you find attractive is in a lot of ways just what comes naturally.
It's like your fingerprint. It's uniquely your own.
Yeah, so like there's not, I don't
You
know if
can't-
that's a
you
significant
can't make-
reflection
yeah.
there, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just
So,
case
and
by case.
I would agree that, you know, as a woman, it is more expensive to clothe myself to work in an office than it would be for a man.
This is tangential, but it always bothered me. Why don't women's clothing just have like the practical sizes of the men's do? Like if I want to buy a pair of pants, 32-inch waist. I know that. If a woman wants to buy a dress, it's a
if
random
you
number,
give numbers
and
to
it just
everything,
doesn't-
everyone's gonna start making.
Some women have babies and then their body is different than the ones that don't.
Then just
yeah,
get a
no,
different
I
size.
get that, but if you get a dress from one brand and it's like a size whatever, and you go to another brand and you get that same
Because
size, it's
women
not
have
necessarily
hips,
going to be the same size.
And women have
It's not
different.
standard.
It's not because women's bodies are not
No,
standard.
no, I mean like between production, like different.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. Like you one brand.
Right, there
Yeah.
are variances.
Exactly.
I can fit
A
in a
size
large
seven?
in one and an extra large in
That's
another.
what I'm saying.
Right,
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like a size
Yeah.
7 is not a size 7.
Unfortunately,
for
some
one
of that
brand and the
also
other.
falls onto kids' clothing too,
It
because
does.
an 810 in one brand is not an 810 in another.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And it's
But once
insane and drove me
Yeah.
nuts buying all pants and shirts and stuff at schools.
She hated buying shoes. She hated buying shoes.
I
Yeah.
hate shopping in general. Yes.
So,
Amen.
2 questions. Do you believe in the pink tax and also like the societal standards that men have to act a certain way and to have certain things to generically impress a woman?
Okay, so pink tax. You're talking about feminine products that we have to use monthly to be able to maintain hygiene. That's a pink tax, right? We're taxed on
I
those
was
items.
under the
They're
impression
taxed as luxury
that-
items like everything else.
I was under the
Honestly, I
impression
don't
that
feel
it was
That's
like
like
soap.
women
That's like so.
surviving
Okay.
cost more
No,
than men.
no, pink tax is a tax on items that we have to use for hygiene. So, tampons and pads.
Yeah.
Okay,
Huh? What?
nothing.
No.
Because, and I agree that we shouldn't be taxed on that, but I'm of the ability to be able to buy it with tax. I don't,
There you
you know what I mean? Like, I budget that into my, you know, and there's also a lot of other options that are more, less disposable, more reusable. So, you know,
Could you imagine the disgruntled somebody who's really living a tight
Right.
budget,
But
trying to feed a
is
kid?
toilet paper
it's-
tax? I don't even know.
Pretty sure it is.
Okay, see, but if you're not gonna tax that, should you tax toilet paper? Because everybody has to use it. You know what I mean? So like, I think when it comes to hygiene items and things that are, maybe we could across the board just not tax it, but should women not have to pay tax on those items and then men have to pay tax on toilet paper because they have to wipe too, but they use less.
But yeah.
In general,
It's
a
just-
lot less than women.
Honestly, okay, like food does have a tax on it also.
Sure.
But food is taxed at a lesser rate than normal other items.
Right,
I'm
because it's a
thinking
necessity.
that necessities for life should be taxed at that rate.
Right.
Not a
So-
luxury item because
I'm gonna agree there.
female hygiene items are not a luxury; they're a necessity.
Do you think the realistic expectations of men? The realistic expectations of males, that like how they're raised from the moment they can talk, to be kind of withdrawn, keep their feelings hidden, and
Let me ask you this question. What proof in your life have I given you that I feel that way?
you always encourage me to go get out with my feelings, but from a social standpoint, I've learned it's like a habit, it's an ingrained like sense not to show my feelings
Well, like-
because a lot of people will jump on that as weakness, and
So,
Here's the
okay, let me finish the conversation there and then you can interject. This is my feeling. That men who hold in their feelings exert them in an unproductive way. They're either abusive verbally or abusive physically. If you can teach men how to properly process their feelings and or share them in a safe environment, because even women can't share their feelings about everything everywhere. They have their safe people that they can go to and share. So men need to find their safe environment to be able to do that.
there's a lot of sorry, go ahead.
So here's the thing. I've never had an experience where it was like, don't show your emotions. It's like, just, you have to understand that not everyone wants to hear what you have to say or what you think. Now, hanging out with your friends, most likely if you are close with them, you will be able to share your emotions. Or if like a teacher or an authority figure, normally they will not tell you, you're not supposed to share your emotions, and I don't want you
Yes,
to.
Jonathan, look, have you ever found yourself gotten like really hurt in a very public setting, like school, in elementary school? Have you ever like scraped your elbow and wanted to cry but you didn't?
No.
No, he doesn't care about what people think, that's why.
Yeah. Like me and you have different.
The only
We don't think
Yeah.
alike, but the majority of people think like me. Like if you get hurt, you're supposed to like act tough.
I think, honestly, it's kind of like not necessarily a dying mentality, but it's been getting a little bit better, more towards the you should learn to express it, deal where you can, find where you feel comfortable.
our
allow yourself to
generation of
process.
parenting has more embraced people being able to process their feelings because
100%.
we were the unheard generation. We were the yeah.
The people, I don't want to say boomers, I don't want to say the boomer word, but
The
if
big
you're
word.
going leaning towards
Right.
closer to that generation, more to the past, that's when that
50s.
was
But
very prevalent.
The boomers were even less heard than we were.
Yeah.
Because it was the,
Their parents were the ones who were like,
unseen, we don't want to see you, we don't
children
want to
should
hear,
be
yeah.
Seen and not
seen
heard.
and not
Seen and not
heard.
heard,
Yup.
yeah.
Don't
And-
speak until you're spoken to.
Yup.
And their opinions weren't ever asked about, things that go on in the family where, we will have discussions and say, what is your input? Let's come up to a decision as a family. And we value your input and we value your feelings. Not that,
But it's true that that period of I'm sorry, but it's true that period of social stigma that you're talking about hasn't completely died.
no, yeah,
I
it's
mean, it's
still
important
prevalent.
that you recognize that it's there, but it's something, in my opinion at least, it's something that we should be working towards getting rid of, right? I
It's
mean,
up
you
to us
want
to change that.
Yeah.
So if you don't want things to be that way,
I still grew up with it ingrained in my
It's-
mind,
well,
so I still practice
I
it.
get that.
But you have to learn where you can be safe to share.
And I've tried to find like people that I can like
Trust.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone has to do that. Okay, Jonathan?
Okay, so I looked on Google,
the
a
pink
quick
tax?
search for
Okay.
pink tax,
I knew it.
found multiple definitions pointing to this basis. The pink tax is a phenomenon often attributed as a form of gender-based price discrimination. Like same product, different pricing.
Oh,
I've
right.
seen-
Like
men's
women's
razors and
underwear.
women's razors?
Okay, I've seen that, but women shave a lot more, and I think that is a society.
No.
What?
Some men shave daily.
Yeah. You
But
see
like-
this neck beard? Just because I only shave twice a month. If that.
But like razors, I've seen things like this, but generically, I don't find like
Okay?
same products
Okay.
costing more for women.
What I want you to do is the next time you are in a store when we're not under stay-at-home orders, I want you to go to the store and I want you to price a pack of 10 pair of men's underwear, size small, medium, large, and then I want you to go try and find 3 pairs of women underwear for the same price.
Don't try to find a 10-pack of women's underwear, they don't exist.
And then
So-
compare
Well,
the
they do,
material.
they do.
They're
Yeah.
rare to find, but typically
Shush.
you're only gonna find them in a pair or 2 pair or a 2-pack up to 6 I think.
6 or 8. 6 or 8.
Women are washing
But-
their underwear more often because they get less.
Okay.
Here's a funny thing for you, because I do our laundry.
Right.
For a week's worth of laundry, I will have more underwear than she will.
That makes sense though.
Because he's got a sweaty groin. Changes twice a day.
And I've got like 4 times as much underwear
Get out,
as she does.
Buzz.
Kind of interesting.
Also,
Okay,
I've heard a lot of people refer to the pink tax
What?
as like
come here.
costing more to live as a woman as a man. I think that is by choice and also by societal pressures. You see, like men, we will use moisturizer on any part of our body, and we don't have to buy hand moisturizer,
Okay.
face
Wait,
moisturizer.
wait. So
We could-
women in general are they have daily care items. Y'all know I'm so low maintenance, okay? Like when do you see me in makeup?
No.
Like my
Rarely.
makeup lasts so long it expires before I replace it. So-
Only special occasions like weddings.
Yeah.
And
And date nights occasionally. So the cost of but women are also held to a different standard
yes.
of appearance.
That's
And
true.
so women feel pressure to look a certain way and they do the makeup and they stress a lot about lines and creases in their faces and the way that they are, because you as a woman could go in a job and somebody could hire you or not hire you based off your looks. Men, not so much. It's just a
'Cause-
disparity in the way people perceive women should look.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned like teach men to be more emotionally sharing. There's a lot of teach men mentalities, like teach men not to insert any masculine. I don't know how to say it with Noah in the room, but I think you know what I'm getting at. It's like teach men not to whatever.
Yeah.
You're talking about consent.
Yes,
Okay.
consent, violate, consensual, like there's a lot of that going around, but the
Okay.
same could be said about like other things that women do, like
Okay, let me
Gender-
ask you this,
gender
let me ask you-
things.
hold on. Let me ask you this question. If a woman walks into a room dressed to where her thighs are showing and she might have a plunging neckline, is it her fault that somebody takes it upon themselves to help themselves to something that's not theirs?
No. But no, this is a different thing.
But I don't
They
think there's a
wear
but
something
there.
like that. Now, they're not like saying that I want you to touch me. But don't you think they want some sort of attention, like people to notice that they're
Yes.
dressed like that?
yes, like
I'm not saying that they're
You
asking
don't-
people to touch them. Touches are completely off the limits. But like just glances and then like
Some,
lot
I
of
think
attention,
some
yes.
people may dress, I'm not going to say all, some people may dress to get attention. But I think some women dress the way they dress because it makes them feel good about themselves.
Some-
And they don't want to wear frumpy clothes like this going out because it makes them feel invisible.
if you're going to wear
And-
fancy clothes, there's fancy clothes that don't have like necklines that
Showing.
end at your sternum and skirts cut up the thigh or pants that are
I am of the opinion that modesty is something that we should consider because I am a modest person. But what someone else does or dresses like does not give me permission to violate their space. If a man was cutting the grass without his shirt on, it would be inappropriate for me to like, hey, can I touch your chest?
No, but like,
You know what I mean?
you
Like,
would look, wouldn't you?
looking at
Yes,
touching
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying touch is off limits
Yes,
without consent.
But like
Yeah.
women would go with like the neckline down at your sternum, cut off
if they expect people not to look and pay attention,
when they're
they
dressed
have
like that, then they have unrealistic expectations.
unrealistic expectations. But to expect that no one violates their personal space is not unrealistic.
Exactly.
One thing that I find interesting is that, regardless of dress, it can be hard to understand and to see from the perspective of like, I'm a man. I've been a man, I've been a boy, I've been a male my whole life, so I haven't lived in those shoes, so I can't have that personal lived experience of knowing what it's really like and the difference. I never know the difference in the rate of objectification and how things go. But if you look at it, I've seen some very interesting things, and you hear it from just about every woman you'd ask. To be honest, it doesn't really matter how you dress. People are going to act inappropriately. And if you're putting yourself out there in public, I feel like you have a right not to. Maybe attention and looking is one thing, but
Yes.
like even like
Yeah.
cat calls, comments,
Okay,
Yes.
like that,
Those are
like it's
Wait.
so common. You
I
wouldn't
have
really know.
An example of this.
You-
Okay, y'all know that I, prior to surgery, was very well endowed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know how to explain this any other
Mhm.
way. I was like that since I was 13.
Oof.
It did not matter what I dressed in. I got attention. I just walked down the street. I got attention I did not want. Okay? I was in Chicago working for IBLP, Institute of Basic Life Principles, okay? Very conservative Christian group, long to your past your knees.
Can't show ankles.
Well, I think it was more like mid calf, but most of us wore to your ankles dresses and a white shirt, and when we went out, we wore, long skirts
Modest.
and modest tops. A group of us were walking through a town. There was a construction group. There's 4 of us. Catcalls.
Hands thrown.
You
Hands
can't,
would
you
have been
can't
thrown.
walk like
We
as
were
a.
young.
Yes, I realize that, and that is completely inappropriate, and like that shouldn't happen.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point, is that it didn't matter that I was dressed modestly, I still got attention, and I still got unwanted advances. Verbal or
I'm
otherwise.
just trying to think what I was. I'm
So-
trying to remember what I was thinking. I was thinking about something.
I think generally speaking, that's the whole thing.
I was
the whole
gonna-
teach men thing. It's like it.
Okay,
in the
I remember what I
generation
was
that's
gonna
coming
say.
up now that we're raising now, we gotta be conscious of that to know, so that people understand just the impact that can make.
Okay,
Because
I
just
was-
one occurrence is one thing, but it's like literally every woman you
Yes,
ask will have
yes.
stories.
Or some feminists have, or think of the problem of men.
All men.
All men are like bad, but like also that you can solve the problem of non-consensual violence and assault by just getting every male should stay in well-lit places, out of parks, with a police officer, etc. Like,
To be fair about that, I think that's unrealistic. People need to have freedom to go where they want.
exactly,
where
we're a
they please.
free
But
country.
But if 90% of the men that you interact with are pigs, it's kind of hard to realize that there's people out there who aren't. And I can guarantee you that in my experience, out of all of the men that I have dated and or married, I have had 2 men in my life who have treated me with respect.
That's one of them.
That's one of them.
And you raise
And your
people-
dad.
The last one before him was when I was 16.
Okay.
That's just
The way
Yes.
I see it is like you can take down some crazy solution like keeping all the men out of parks and stuff. You can take that down all you want. Obviously, it's a stupid idea, but no one important who's gonna make a change is proposing it. It's just a crazy vocal minority anyway. So it'd be more a better use of your time to come up with a practical solution.
Or
Work with the people
to-
who have the more modern
For those
views.
people to put efforts
You know?
into teaching women how to, number 1, defend themselves. Number 2, not to put themselves in situations where they're vulnerable.
self-defense is like one of probably the most important things because we teach women that they aren't supposed to be violent. Like I think we still, as like a social standing, still right now widely teach women that they aren't supposed to be violent. Like
Or
go to
tough,
war.
or tough.
Or
self-defense,
vocal.
self-defense does not necessarily condone violence. Self-defense is doing something you have to do to protect
Exactly,
yourself.
but it's still viewed as violent
But it's
sometimes.
also not a permanent solution to a longer-standing, larger societal problem.
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
which
like,
is
it's-
men feel entitled to women,
Right.
and that's the majority of men that I have met in my life. They feel like if you are dating them, you are their possession.
And I've met a lot of kids my age where they didn't have any respect for the girls there, and the girls didn't say either. They either didn't say anything. If they did, it wasn't regarded, or they actually enjoyed and liked what the guys were doing.
Well, wouldn't you want to be better than those kids?
Yes, I would, and I was.
So
And it's
just-
like
so
they were.
just do.
But
The guys
that
were
doesn't
asking me-
mean that, and that's our point, is that the majority of men, boys, and whatevers that you meet tend to be pigs.
When I was dating, they were all asking me like, "Hey, why aren't you like practicing PDA?" I'm like, "I'm not comfortable with that, and I don't know if they are, so I'm not gonna do it."
Right. Typically boys like to push the limits,
Oh,
and
A lot.
girls are reluctant
to say no.
because because basically they're afraid of rejection. And when you are a teenager, rejection is a huge thing. And being afraid of rejection, and that, okay, if I say no to this person, they're going to break up with me, and I don't have a boyfriend. And then I'm going to be alone.
Because a boyfriend is a social standing.
Yes. So, it can be very, very hard to navigate relationships as a teenager. And so, it unfortunately becomes the responsibility of the male to not cross
Overstep
lines,
boundaries.
because I'm not saying all girls, but there are some girls who have acceptance issues and what is that word? Self-esteem issues that prevent them from taking a firm stand of their own boundaries. And they're reluctant to say, no, this is a boundary of mine. And so it has become more the responsibility of the males to not cross those lines. And there's a whole host of legal issues now in this day and age that you can get in some serious trouble if you cross boundaries, even if they have consented. Because some people aren't of legal age to consent.
My whole takeaway from discussions like this, it's hard just to be a person.
Yeah,
You shouldn't try to make it harder for anyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
right.
Just.
It's difficult for everyone, and everyone has their own difficulties in different ways.
Right.
And all you can do is work to
Do
make it
your
better
best.
for yourself and make sure that the other people are treated fairly as well, and that no one's like,
You can only control yourself.
yes.
And you can only affect those you have interaction with. So all these outlier people who are stirring up stuff, you have no effect on them. But what you can do is decide how you are going to be as a person, and decide your views and your opinions and what you feel is right, and you can influence people that are in your circle. If you see someone doing something that's crossing a line, you can say, hey man, I think you might be crossing a line.
But there's also the fact that guys who do think that way aren't as likely to say anything to the person perpetrating the act because they don't want to have a lower social standing. Because guys who don't practice the things everyone else do and then say something about it, like me being a Christian in a school and being like, hey, yo, what's up? You want to come to church? I immediately cast it out as like, oh, that's some weirdo. He goes to church and stuff.
It's a lot of judgment.
Yes.
But if you have trouble expressing yourself as a man and telling somebody they're crossing a line,
I should express myself as a female.
Just, you're in the same position as females are about saying that you're crossing a line. So you can relate your thinking to a female's thinking when it comes to different boundaries, right?
Right.
So you can kind of understand that thought process.
Yeah, I don't want to have a lower social standing, but that's wrong, and that shouldn't be happening.
You know,
And
that's
if
Like
you-
the only thing I ever did something about was James because it was so bad.
What is catcalls?
Oh, it's like, hey there, you look nice, or they'll say you
Okay,
look
that's just-
sexy, or
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Inappropriate.
At
Hey,
least
baby.
you understand that now.
hey baby,
Say, babe,
you're
try this
pretty.
look expression.
Yeah. Can I take you out tonight? And you've never even met the person.
Oh, it is so
You want to get a drink?
sad.
You want
to
some
see-
fries with that shake?
Oh my god. It is so sad to see, especially when I was in management. It's so prevalent. I mean, I'm managing these girls that are like 16, 17. There's a few of them that really had an issue with it. They're just existing, doing their job, not acting the slightest bit provocatively, dressing modestly, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And creepy old dudes will show up like multiple days in a row. Hey, where's she? Hey, how's she? Like offering money and stuff. Like, can you imagine how uncomfortable and unsafe
Like a
that would make you
50-year-old
feel?
guy coming
Yeah.
up to you being 16, being like,
Could you-
hey, you want to go get a drink sometime?
Yes.
Like, no, A, I don't know
It
you, and
literally,
two,
it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
A 17-year-old working the drive-thru. Dude came in through the drive-thru, not even to order. Said, "How old are you? I'm looking for a girlfriend." I don't know you. Like, no.
Right?
But it's so sad
Like,
because it's
yeah.
just like I'm saying,
It's
that
normal.
attitude seems to be dying out, but you know,
It's still
pretty
there.
normal.
Still
And
there.
just so you're aware, by law,
It's not alright.
it's not alright, and the management can tell that customer, don't ever come back again.
Yes, and we have.
So-
And we
And
have.
then
Have
But
they-
there's
what's
just as
gonna
much
happen
protection
next?
from an outside source for your employees as
But
there is internally
have
for
the people
harassment.
you've
The thing
banned
is-
ever come back?
Yes, but that's the one of the scariest things is like if it's on a closing shift with someone, I can say like, hey, you're making my employee uncomfortable.
Get
I'm
out.
gonna have to ask you, do your business and go. Like I don't want.
Like,
what do you-
finish up and get out.
It's just is there something I can help you with? No, okay.
Get out.
I have to, whatever. But
Shoot.
when she gets off 3 hours later and has to go walk in the dark to her car, there's that whole uncertainty there.
Yeah.
Like,
You
did
know?
the guy actually leave, or does he have it's still parked in the
Right,
parking
in
lot?
the-
There's
parking lot
that
where
whole
everybody can see,
uncertainty,
yeah.
and I would hate to be in that position. I would really, really hate that.
And-
it's so common. Like that's why
95% of men will never have an experience like that.
Yeah.
That's
So, and 98% of women do multiple times, hundreds of times in their lives.
Yep.
So, can you imagine if that's your experience over and over and over and over and over again? Someone making an advance towards you, and you've done nothing to.
That's why I have a good deal of empathy,
Yeah.
even for the more radical feminists.
On the flip
Like,
side of
I
things,
get that.
the majority of men that your mom has known have been pigs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The majority of the people that I have dated in my life have experienced some sort of rape or harassment.
I have talked to a couple of people who have had that happen to them.
And
Right.
you're so young, isn't that
Okay.
a shame?
Yes. Like my age or younger.
And so this
So
is
shouldn't
what
we
this
teach
is
men
what
to do
creates rad femmes. This is that the prevalence of that mindset is what causes women to feel like they have nothing and they are nothing and they cannot speak out and they have to make their voice known and they have to be way out there and to take some control back. Because a lot of times women don't have control. I did not have control for 10 years of my life. Yes.
back to the rights. Everyone should have equal rights, no matter their race or anything.
Or yes, correct.
Identification.
And that's in y'all's generation, I think is really gonna be the generation that helps right some wrongs.
Like,
We're
pushes
in
for rights.
between the generation where, like, we're the generation where people started coming out as like gay and trans and
Not
non-binary.
really. No.
But like,
No,
that
Gen
was
X, I think, has the lock
The
on
cake
that
on
one.
that one. Yeah.
okay, well,
Yeah.
fine.
Well,
but we're the
it's-
generation where
it's-
it's becoming more
You
acceptable.
know about Ellen.
Yeah.
Now, it's becoming more about the identifying as a different sex, and the transgender is much more open about their lifestyle. It's
Yes.
always been there, but transgender people have been living under a rock for a long time because it's
Because
not
they're different.
socially acceptable. Yes.
Does anyone here agree with the opinion that some people have that says basically if you meet someone who is trans and you don't know and you are dating them and then you decide to not continue your relationship dating because they are trans, that you're a terrible person?
No.
No, you're not a terrible
No.
person. You should. If everybody in a relationship should be upfront with the other person in a relationship, so it should be known from the get-go.
Right. And
If it's
That's
not,
what I think.
yeah.
that's where it becomes wrong.
But you
Right.
can also
It's
see
wrong.
how like it might be tough as like reading material. You know,
Right.
Like there's such a gray area in
And it-
individual
when-
case
When
basis.
in
thing
a
there,
point
you
of
know?
a relationship, do you say, hey, I used to be a man, or hey, I used to be a woman? Like,
That's-
you're just getting to know someone, and you're just friends, and you're just dating. So, is it
Where
the
do
first
you-
date? Is it the third date? Is it
Because
before you kiss for the first time? Like,
and
you know,
some
it's
people
kind
will
of-
respond with horrible,
Yeah.
awful, hateful violence.
yeah.
So it's really tough for those people.
Yeah.
Like, really,
It's
really
not-
hard. So you,
yeah.
you can't
But-
like paint them as villains.
But
Yeah.
no. But I get what you're saying. Like, if the person says, hey, I'm trans, and then the other person says, oh, well, I'm really not into that, you know, that's just their personal
That's natural.
preference, as long as they're not a hateful person towards
Yeah.
you when you reveal it.
Don't.
But yeah,
You're
people
allowed to
get
have your
married for
opinions, but
years.
don't lash out because of it.
Yeah, don't.
And that's the problem,
Don't be-
though, because I'm guessing and I'm assuming, because I've never had the personal experience, I'm guessing a lot of trans people have had very, very negative responses. Terrible and abusive, physically and verbally.
It's such a shame the
Yeah.
suicide rate is incredibly high amongst them.
The suicide rate among minorities and only a couple of majorities is like really high.
Yeah, generally speaking. But especially, I mean,
The
it's
suicide
a
rate in
promiscuous-
general is insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, especially because it's an oppressed community. It really
Yeah.
honestly is.
And they really are.
And
And,
yeah, they suffer a lot.
you know,
It's like,
regardless,
Bike ride.
regardless of my opinion of where I stand on that, people are people and they deserve to be treated like people, no matter what your
Exactly.
choices are in your life.
That's like I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Doesn't
should
matter
be
who
treated
you
the
are or
same.
what you look like. You should
Exactly.
be treated the same. And I agree.
Same.
All right.
Good conversation.
I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
That was an hour.
Oh my